Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Over the weekend, I got a chance to watch Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So this is my spoiler-free review of the movie. Before I tell you guys what I thought about Wakanda Forever, let me know down in the comments what did you think about this movie and how excited were you to watch it? I'd love to know your thoughts. And also, what do you think of Phase 4 as a whole? Because Phase 4 has now come to a close with this is the last movie. And I know the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special is part of Phase 4, but as far as the movies and shows go, this is the end of Phase 4. So I'd love to know your thoughts about what you thought about this movie and Phase 4 as a whole. With that said, I'm going to get started talking about my thoughts. And honestly, I have to say, this movie left me utterly speechless. I don't mean to say like this is the greatest movie ever or anything, but when I walked out of this movie, I couldn't believe how good it was. If you saw my trailer reaction for this movie, or like my most anticipated list, I was not excited for this movie. This was a movie I was interested in. I was definitely gonna watch it, but I was never excited for this movie like I wanted to be. Not because I hate Black Panther or anything. Like the first movie I really enjoy, and Black Panther as a character I think is a great character. But just the circumstances of what was going on with this movie, I was really scared because after everything that happened, obviously we lost Chadwick Boseman and we didn't have T'Challa in the movie. They were gonna just continue off from there, and I was just scared because I did not know what to like make of it. And because of that, I was really worried that this movie wasn't going to work. And somehow Ryan Coogler found a way to make an amazing movie, even without the lead character. And I feel like they found a way to make this whole movie just a great, like, kind of send-off to Chadwick Boseman. And it did a great job of honoring his legacy and the character of T'Challa. I've mentioned this quite a bit throughout my reviews. I have not been a big fan of Phase 4 as a whole. I think there's some really good stuff in there, but a lot of the stuff has disappointed me. And even some stuff that I really enjoyed and I reviewed and gave positive reviews to, the more I think about it, the more I dislike them. Like right now, if I go back and review a lot of the stuff that I reviewed before, I would not be as positive on them as I was back when I reviewed it, because when I watched them, I was like looking at it through a different lens, because we didn't get, like back when Phase 4 started, we didn't get MCU projects for 2 years straight. So I was just happy we had MCU projects, like somewhat of a biased view of it. And when I go back and rewatch them, I just don't feel the same way. There's a lot of issues with Phase 4, and that's why I've been negative with a lot of my MCU reviews lately. Like I didn't review Thor Love and Thunder or Miss Marvel yet, but both of those I wasn't a huge fan of because I don't think it worked. I don't think they found a way to make it work. And I think this movie is the best thing to come out of Phase 4, to be completely honest, because it did a great job of just telling a great story and giving a send-off to Chadwick Boseman in a way that was emotional, but it also made sense with the story. And I think they found a way to perfectly do that. Now, I was completely on board with like recasting T'Challa. I was like, I didn't mind that idea. I know a lot of people were like against it, and I get it, but to me personally, I think that would have been a pretty solid idea. But I think what they did here was even better. I think they found a way to kind of incorporate that into the story and use that to kind of make this movie even more emotional. And kind of, I think that's the best part of this movie, because everything going on here is just emotional. And like when you're watching the movie, there's a lot of scenes that are just really sad, or like I was brought to tears by the end of the movie. So I really enjoyed this movie, and I can't believe how good it was. I think also story-wise, this is by far the most mature thing in the MCU. Before this, it would have been the first Black Panther movie. The first Black Panther movie is a very mature film. It explores some really great themes, and I think this movie does the same thing. It just builds upon what the first movie did, and I think it takes it to the next level, because at the end of the first Black Panther, Wakanda becomes public, and they like talk about their vibranium and how they're going to share their supplies and things with the rest of the world. And I think this movie just doubles down on that and shows the repercussions of that and what would happen if that actually happened. And I think they just did a great job of telling the story, continuing where the last movie left off, but still kind of feeling like, you know, because our main character isn't here, because T'Challa is gone, they passed on the mantle in a way that made sense. And this time we don't have like one main character. It's kind of an ensemble because you have a lot of different main characters. And at times it kind of switches perspectives. It goes from one character to a different character, which sometimes can be a little bit annoying. I think that's one of the biggest flaws of the movie because sometimes like you're in one character's perspective and for a while you don't see that character again until like the end of the movie or something like that, which I found a little bit frustrating. But for the most part, I think it worked. I like the way they created an ensemble of characters, and like all the side characters in the previous movie are now kind of promoted to the main character role, and I think all of them did a great job because of how emotionally heavy this movie is. All of them gave some amazing performance, and I was especially impressed by Shuri, obviously, because she just shows so much emotion. Letitia Wright just does such a great job of performing and emoting all the emotions that the character is feeling, and throughout the whole movie, especially when you get to the end of it in the post-credit scene, just the emotions there are just insane, and she did a perfect job of capturing what her character was going through. This movie also introduces two new characters, Ironheart and Namor, and I think both of them are just fantastic. Ironheart is more of a side character. We don't see too much of her, but whenever she's on screen, she works really well. I just like her personality. I'm pretty sure she's a college student, and like you kind of see that in her, like her personality, the way how she's kind of like careless about everything, and just the fun nature of her character. And I think her dynamic with Shuri and the way they got along was really, really fun. I really enjoyed that. And Namor is just an amazing villain. Like he's a great villain. I wouldn't say he's as good as like Killmonger. He's not a top tier villain as far as MCU villains go, but he's a really great villain just because you kind of see how like deadly he is, because throughout the whole movie there's a lot of great action sequences with him, and he's like really strong, but he also kind of has a moral compass that is guiding him towards what he believes is right. And that's a lot of villains lately, like just a lot of villains. The best villains are the ones that usually believe that what they're doing is the right thing. And I think in this case, that really worked for Namor. And I think that really elevated his character for me. I do think they could have done more with him, though. Like, I don't think they explored everything they could have with the character, which I get it because they're trying to set him up for the future. At least that's how I saw it. I think they're going to do more with his character in the future. But what they did with him in this movie, I think was really good, although it could have been a little bit better. I also think this movie has some really powerful moments. Like I said, it's very emotional, but just the emotions kind of like swell at times. Like there's so much emotion going on that at points it just like pushes me off the edge, and it just, you kind of feel everything going on screen. And because of that, you like are like completely invested in the characters. And I think that's what the MCU is like so popular for. Like all these characters, they're all superheroes. We don't believe in them. They can't exist in the real world. But what makes us care about them is that their emotions, they're still human beings. They like deep down, they still have the same emotions that we do. And that's what like the MCU does a great job of connecting us to the characters. And I don't think they've done a great job of that in Phase 4. But this movie, I think, brought that back, and it's a back to form for the MCU because you feel those emotions again, and you get that like just satisfying feeling of all the emotions just rushing in this movie. And I think when you get to the end of it, it just pays off so satisfyingly. There's some great cinematography in this movie. I think a lot of the camera work is good. I don't love a lot of the action sequences. I think the action sequences have good ideas behind them, but the camera work and the way everything plays out and the locations they choose, I don't think is great. Which I'm not saying like it's bad or anything, but I just don't think it's as good as it could be. I think the action could have been better. But for the most part, I did enjoy a lot of the action sequences, especially the ones with Namor, because just his powers, he's like so powerful. So whenever you're seeing him on screen, I think it's just a ton of fun. And there's a lot of other great, cool sequences too. Although I don't think the action is perfect, I still think there's a lot of great sequences for us to watch on screen. And I watched the movie in 3D, and 3D is not usually my jam. I don't love 3D, but I think for this movie, it had pretty good 3D. It's not like awesome, but it could have been better. But I think as far as like usually goes, like usually what I see in 3D, I think this has some of the best 3D I've seen in a while. So I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. It also has a good score and a good soundtrack, and that's kind of like the first movie too. The first movie also has a great soundtrack, and I think this movie just continued that basically, and it did a great job with like how it like fit the movie. I think it did a really great job of that. And finally, I will mention the post-credit scene. I'm not going to go into spoilers, but I just wanted to say that if you still haven't seen the movie and you're going to go to watch it, stick around for the post-credit scene because it is absolutely amazing. And I think this might be the best post-credit scene in any MCU movie ever. It's a great post-credit scene. It left me really emotional, and I think it's one of the best parts of the movie, if I'm being honest. So yeah, overall to me, Black Panther Wakanda Forever is incredible. It's one of the best movie experiences I've had all year. Not because the experience itself was that good, but like as someone that's been really disappointed by most MCU projects lately, and I was expecting to be disappointed by this one too, so I didn't have high expectations, but it really ended up surprising me, and I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. So to me, Black Panther Wakanda Forever is an amazing movie that I liked way more than I thought I would. So I'm gonna give this movie an A minus on an entertainment scale. It's a solid 9 out of 10. It's great. Like I said, I have not liked an MCU movie this much in a very long time. I'm sure like there's gonna be some competition as far as Phase 4 goes because I do really like movies like Doctor Strange, The Multiverse of Madness, Shang-Chi, Spider-Man No Way Home. They're all really good movies, but I think this might be the best one. I'm not sure. I might have to sit on that for a little bit, and I will for sure do a ranking of all MCU Phase 4 projects once the holiday special comes out. But I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and it's definitely one of the best things to come out of Phase 4. I really loved it. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more movie videos like this. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.